Women were often scrutinized for their age, physical strength, and ability to bear children, while enslaved men were evaluated for their physical prowess and reproductive potential. Enslaved women were then made to breed with enslaved men who were not their husbands or partners. The kids were sold as well. They were often separated from their mothers and auctioned off to other plantation owners. Younger enslaved people were often sold at exorbitant prices because of their potential. Auction advertisements from the time provide evidence of this strategic buying and selling. They would highlight the reproductive abilities of enslaved individuals, explicitly mentioning their capacity to bear children or their existing offspring. For slave breeders, the value of an enslaved person was often tied to their reproductive potential. The strategic sale and purchase of enslaved individuals had devastating consequences for families. Enslaved men and women could be forcibly separated and sold to different owners, disrupting the bonds that held them together. Many formerly enslaved people told the stories of how the children of enslaved women were sold to other plantations solely based on their potential to produce valuable offspring. These accounts are a poignant reminder of how enslaved individuals were treated as commodities, bought and sold for their reproductive abilities. In 1750 and 1786, Thistlewood succeeded in breeding over 3,000 children on his farm, most of which were through forced breeding. Testimonies from formerly enslaved individuals shed light on the unspeakable horrors they endured. Other records recount instances where enslaved women were specifically selected for their perceived attractiveness and forced into sexual relationships against their will. Recognizing the strength and resilience of enslaved women who endured these acts of violence is essential. Children born out of slave breeding faced a lifetime of enslavement, perpetuating the bondage cycle from one generation to the next. For such children, life outside slavery was strange, despite how harrowing their experiences were. The sale of enslaved children was a common occurrence, as families were torn apart and siblings separated. The heart-wrenching scenes of children being forcibly taken away from their parents underscore the dehumanization of enslaved individuals and the disregard for familial bonds. Their fate was determined by the highest bidder, perpetuating their enslavement and further entrenching the cycle of bondage. As these children grew into adulthood, they inherited the same subjugation and oppression that plagued their parents. Fact number 10. Plantation owners often hired doctors to ensure that pregnant slaves were properly treated and any medical conditions were handled professionally. While the institution of slavery was marked by pervasive exploitation and dehumanization, some plantation owners recognized the need for medical attention during pregnancy. They would hire doctors to ensure that pregnant slaves received proper care and that any medical conditions that arose were handled professionally. Plantation owners understood that the health and well-being of their enslaved women during pregnancy were crucial for maintaining a stable slave workforce and producing profitable offspring. They recognized that ensuring proper medical care was a means to protect their economic interests. Historical records provide glimpses into the hiring of doctors and the attention given to pregnant slaves. In plantation diaries and correspondence, references can be found regarding the presence of medical professionals on the plantations. These doctors would examine and provide medical care to pregnant enslaved women, monitoring their health and addressing possible complications. They played a role in ensuring that the women and their unborn children received the necessary medical attention. A notable example is Dr. J. Marion Sim, who is regarded as the father of modern gynecology, and for his discoveries during anesthetized procedures on pregnant slaves in the mid-1800s. While hiring doctors by plantation owners might seem contradictory within the context of slavery, it highlights the recognition that pregnant enslaved women required medical attention. However, it is essential to acknowledge that this care was often motivated by the desire to maintain a healthy workforce, rather than out of genuine concern for the well-being and autonomy of enslaved individuals. Slavery was officially abolished in the United States on December 18, 1865, when the 13th Amendment was adopted as part of the United States Constitution, but that didn't necessarily improve the conditions of Black Americans at the time. This documentary was truly tough to make, but I hope you all took something from it. The crazy part is, we're just scratching the surface on all of this. The video on the screen shares some more hidden Black history that they never taught us in school. Click on it now to watch. We'll see you over there.